Hey, what's up everyone? It's Rickster here doing a tutorial of how to set up CypherCam. CypherCam is a Twitch bot that is capable of shouting out streamers who automatically visit the channel and type something. It also shouts out people who raid your channel. So imagine all the small tedious mod duties and whatnot. CypherCam is aiming to solve these problems by doing it automatically for you. It also has some built-in stuff to it, like detecting when someone says, "Hey, drop a follow at Big Follows" or whatever, and then bans them automatically. There's a chance that your friends might troll you by typing that message themselves, but it's okay. You can just unban them and it's all good. They probably learned their lesson. Um, Without further ado, I'm just going to talk about a timeline in terms of what we're going to go over today, and then I'm actually going to go in detail all of the things that you need to do in order to get CypherCam working on your local computer. It looks like a lot, but honestly, these commands need to be ran one time, and then afterwards, it's just smooth sailing from there. So without further ado, let's get started. The timeline for today is we're going to touch over a TwitchBot account real quick, talk about GitHub, and then go over the command line interface. And today we will be doing git bash. This is a tutorial mainly for Windows computers, mostly because I assume most of you are gaming on Windows. Not to hate against Linux or Mac OS in some point, but I assume most of you are playing Apex and stuff on your Windows machines. Lastly, there will be a small demo for anyone who's lost or not familiar with the command line interface. I'm just going to walk through some basic stuff for everyone to do when they're actually trying to get this set up. And with that's the high level overview. So let's get to it. The first thing you're going to need is a Twitch bot account. This is going to be the account that is going to shout people out on your stream. This is not going to be your main account. I think it can be, but it's going to be really confusing sorting out the commands of you shouting out people yourself versus having a bot to do it. So create a Twitch bot account. You are welcome to use your own for this as well, but like I said, I think it's suboptimal because the users on your channel might be confused as to whether you're saying this or somebody else is saying this. So get an email, sign up for an alternate account, and click this link right here. This link is a Twitch chat password generator. It generates a token that tells Twitch that, hey, I want to post as CypherCam, and here are my credentials to actually do it. Twitch said, okay, no, this code looks good. You may proceed. That's pretty much all that's happening here. So once you click this link, you're going to get to a new page. You want to click connect and then copy or reveal the code and then copy it down. It should look something like OAuth colon and then a bunch of alphanumeric characters. Make sure it's not publicly revealed somehow because if it is, somebody could impersonate your bot. So, just keep that in mind. But write this down, copy it. We're going to use it later. The second part is creating a GitHub account. Head over to github.com, make an account by signing up. We'll circle back on this during the command line interface. Um, but GitHub is what we use to store the code and also for you to pull down any changes currently or in the future that I make to the repository. So let's say I have a typo in CypherCam somewhere. I can make the change to the repository. You can pull it down with a single command, run CypherCam again, boom, you have the fix that I made. The last part is the command line interface. This is the fun part. This is the programming basics goodies. Um, if, like I said, if you're running on this on Windows I think has a built-in command line interface, but I like to use the git bash one, particularly because it comes pre-installed with everything we need to pull down the code, to check out the code, and whatnot. So I recommend downloading and installing git bash. Go to the downloads here, download the .exe or installer, and then click next. Clicking next all the way should do it for most people, unless you're an advanced user, which you probably have almost all of this installed anyways, and probably don't even need this tutorial. So yeah, just clicking next and continue. All the default settings will be fine. Don't worry about it. The next thing you need to do is install Node. Again, clicking next all the way should do it for most people. Don't worry too much about it. Node is the technology that we need to actually download all the dependencies that CypherCam needs in order to run, and then finally run CypherCam. So that's what Node is, in case you're wondering. I find that a little bit of education around what we're doing here helps a lot because in case you ever get lost, you're not, shooting commands into the terminal in the dark, hoping that something's gonna happen. So just a little bit of education, but not too much to waste time is good enough. Once you have Git Bash installed, it's time to generate a new SSH key and add it to the SSH agent. So from here on downwards, just follow all the commands. Um, what you're doing here is generating a key, a public and private key pair. And if it ever mentions passphrase, that's just saying type in a password. You can leave it blank as well as you want, but obviously if somebody gets your keys, then they don't even need to type a password to say that they are actually the person that they pretend to be. So I recommend typing a password, but we'll get around typing a password every single time because what happens is um, Git is gonna kind of act like a bouncer in a lot of ways. Every single time you run a Git command, it's gonna be like, whoa, 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 who are you? Can you prove that you are who you say you are? And you're gonna be like, yes, I have these keys. And they'll be like, okay, cool. What's the what's the passcode to unlock these keys? And then you're gonna be like, it's this. It could be blank if you left it blank, for example. But there's some steps in there to make it so that you don't even talk to the bouncer at all. You just go straight into the club and start partying. That's that's what we're aiming to do here. Over the long term, especially if you're thinking about receiving any updates to CypherCam, it's going to save you a lot of time. So go ahead and not only create a new SSH key, which you need regardless, but also add it to the SSH agent so you don't constantly have to type in your password every single time. I personally find it to be super annoying, so I included these steps in there. Um, Next, we're going to be opening the git bash terminal, and most of the commands in here are going to be ran inside here. Um, Assume everything is to be ran or typed inside the git bash terminal unless otherwise specified. Um, this is if you're reading this, it's a lot different than watching the video. So, I just have this here just to be clear. Inside the git bash terminal, make a new directory for CypherCam's code to live in by typing mkdir space CypherCam, and then hit enter. If I say run a command, I mean type the command and then hit enter every single time, um, just in case that's not clear. mkdir stands for make directory. It's the same thing as right-clicking a folder and then hitting new folder. Next, you want to change into the directory that you just made. So type cd CypherCam. cd stands for change directory. So change the directory to CypherCam, and then type git clone git at github.com /rixtergg / cyphercam.git space period. And then hit enter. Make sure you include the period at the end of the command because that's just a shorthand to say do it in the current directory, which would be CypherCam, the new folder you just made. It's not the end of the world if you forget it, but it's probably just going to create a separate folder with CypherCam inside CypherCam, so it'll be confusing when you run stuff later. But then again, still not the end of the world. After you've checked out all the code, you have Node installed, so now you can type npm install and hit enter. npm stands for Node Package Manager. This is how we say, hey CypherCam, what are all the tools, knives, forks, spoons, that you need to do what you need to do? CypherCam says, no, I need this, that, this, and that. And then, okay, npm goes, great, let me grab those for you. So npm install uh, does this, and it may take a minute or two, and then when it stops doing stuff, it'll return control back to you, and then you're good to go. But just give it a minute. It's going to be downloading a bunch of stuff. You're going to see a bunch of things go off. And then when it finally stays still, like this cursor in this Google Doc, that's how you know you're good to go yet again. But now you have the code checked out, you have the dependencies installed, so now it's time to configure everything. Get out of the git bash terminal. Don't close it, but just, navigate away and, alt tab or something. Open something like Notepad and then find the file called default.json inside the configuration directory. So when you check out CypherCam, you check out all of these files here. There's a folder here called config. Inside it is a file called default.json. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger for you guys to see the contents of it. Um, this is the configuration step. So now that we have everything installed, before we run it, we have to configure it. So inside Twitch identity, you want to type the username and password of the Twitch bot. The password is that same token you generated earlier. It starts with OAuth colon and then whatever. Copy it and paste it in there. Under channels, replace RixterGG or your channel with your own Twitch name. Under streamers, replace the names in there with the people that you want shouted out when they first come to your channel and type something. Um, just so you don't get confused with all the JavaScript syntax, or if you're not familiar with it, just copy and paste the lines as you go along. It's a good way of making sure that you don't make any mistakes, and it's super reusable for when you make new friends. Um, just to highlight what some of this looks like, the configuration file looks like this. I'm saying go to the Twitch here, go to identity, look at this username and password, and add your username and password within the quoted um, sections right here. Make sure you include the quotes. It's part of JavaScript syntax. It's not going to like it if you miss those. So type your username and password within these two double quotes right here. Replace your channel with RixterGG and the streamers with lowercase streamer names of all your friends who come to your channel often and you want to automatically shout out. The last thing I want to talk about is this delay value right here. 3500 is the number of milliseconds before CypherCam says something. So I had it here as 0 before, but I found that my streamer friends were kind of getting creeped out a little bit because of how fast CypherCam would shout them out. So I introduced this delay just to have a more human aspect to it. It got to the point where people started saying hi back to CypherCam, and I had to remind them that CypherCam is just a bot. It's not anybody running it. Very cute, but yes, um, a nice slight human touch to it. Now that we have dependencies installed and the configurations all done, go to the git bash terminal that you had. You should be in the same directory as before. So type node space bot.js. We're telling Node to say, hey, run this file called bot.js. This is the entry path and what gets CypherCam started. Then you should see CypherCam running. Whenever you type into your own channel, you'll see some console logs in there. Grab a friend, have them type in the channel as well, and if they're in the streamers list, you should see CypherCam type exclamation mark SO and then their streamer name. And then you should be good to go. Congratulations. Whenever you want to turn CypherCam off, make sure you either close the git bash terminal or go to the terminal and type Control C as if you were copying. Um, Afterwards, it'll stop. So thanks everybody for just checking out this tutorial. I hope this CypherCam solves a lot of your problems, makes your small technical issue. My headphones just straight up quit. Without further ado, I'm going to go and demonstrate some of these things inside the git bash terminal, just to show you what some of the commands look like and what I mean when I say, run this, run that, and so on. So for example, if you type pwd, you'll see the current directory in which you're in. So in case you're ever lost, this is how you can see where you are. Um, let's say I was not in CypherCam as a folder. Pwd gets me to the stream, but I need to type CypherCam in order to actually get into the CypherCam folder. If I type pwd, you'll see CypherCam there again. And then npm install, for example, I've already installed all the dependencies, so obviously it's not going to go and reinstall everything. For me, it only took 0.4 seconds, but definitely for you, especially if it's a first time setup, definitely give it some time, go around, get a glass of water, drink it, stay hydrated. The last thing to do is check out the command that actually runs the bot. And this is what it should look like if you've configured it successfully. It says it'll join RixterGG as a channel, and then says, boom, CypherCam has joined the channel. You'll see a bunch of other people who have supposedly joined the channel. A lot of these are probably going to be bots as well, but don't fret. They're probably just doing their own thing. It's all good. If I type ASDF, you will see CypherCam says that, oh, hey, Rickster typed ASDF, and it'll say that it saw me. Um, that's pretty much it. That's how you know it's working. The last step is to either close this and stop CypherCam from running, or like I said, just press Control C. Boom. Then that's it. If the terminal is just bugging you, you can always type clear to empty it out, and that's it. If you want to run it again or any of the commands you have ran previously, you can just hit the up arrow or down arrow. This will get you all the commands that you've previously ran in the past, so you don't need to even remember stuff. You just have to remember what the command does. That pretty much does it. I hope CypherCam does everything that it needs to make your streaming experience a good one, and also make your friends and fellow streamers welcome when they hit your channel. And obviously, say hi to any raids that come your way. So without further ado, thank you so much for checking out this whole tutorial. Hope you guys learned something from this. And without that, yeah, I'm good to go. So I'll see you later. This is Rickster signing off. Peace.